Good evening. Thank you for coming, everyone. This evening here we are small group dialogue and leadership, and we've been carrying on here at 4 West 43rd Street, Love and Life Ministry. I want to thank each one of you for coming tonight, and I know that Jorge will not be with us. He's in California at a CARP youth seminar, and then also that Rebecca is occupied. And I just wanted to just now begin and with each of you saying your name, and then we'll get started here.
Hi, my name is Michael Martinez.
My name is John Arias.
And Esteban Calvan. I want to thank each and every one of you. And we're now at the finale of the small group, this 10-week session that we've been carrying on here, meeting regularly, discussing issues relating to dialogue on Leadership Unplugged. So in doing that, we have closure time. Coming at the end like this, we have to ourselves, I think, especially pause and reflect about what key points that each of us have experienced during this time. What kind of experience in our discussion came up that you will consider as being a learning factor for you during this time? Begin, any of you can begin and share how you feel in the area of growth and dialogue surrounding leadership and here our group.
All right.
How you felt that maybe you have grown, or how you have also become strengthened in areas that we haven't talked about that are relevant to you. Go ahead.
For me, it had to be like Jorge's not here, but when he was discussing about his father and about the lottery tickets, how he wished that his father didn't buy them, or that his father seeing numbers and picking numbers based on somebody's birthday or holiday, and he came trying to convince his father not to buy them. For me, that was something that I saw him struggling with, trying to understand that even though you're trying to help someone, sometimes those people don't need help, or they have to see themselves, the harm they're doing, or no matter how hard you try to do the right thing, try to get people to see the reason, they have to see it themselves, and like I never seen anybody like struggle so much with it, like Jorge did, about trying to help someone, but that help not being received well.
Okay, so what did that mean to you? How did that?
For me, I never. It's not that I don't care about people, but like if I had a friend that her boyfriend abused her, like either emotionally or verbally abused her, and I told her you should just leave him, and she didn't. So I only said that to her once, and she always told me about her the next day or a few days later about her abusing him. And I just told her, I always told her, don't tell me, because I already told you what you should do to leave him. If you don't do it, I mean, you might like it, or I don't know, there's something wrong with you. So if he's abusing you, just don't tell me, because I don't even know why you're telling me, because what I'm always gonna say to you is leave him, but you don't. So I don't know this is just a cycle that keeps on going, and I don't want to be part of it. So I just told her to, don't tell me about it. And she's till this day, she's still with him, and such a sweet talk.
So you're saying to us here right now, sharing this, that something here seems to be out of your influence, out of your control, and because it's really up to this other person.
Yeah.
If she is or not going to do anything about abusive relationship, so you feel to stay distant.
Yeah, I mean, I keep.
That's if you're feeling that you're saying could be for other people who are listening, and that you're saying this is possible an experience you're sharing that others can relate to?
This is an experience that that's what I'm telling you. Like Jorge, like really felt bad, like really wanted his father to see the light. For me, I tried once, twice, 3 times, and that was it for me. There's no point in going forward. So Jorge just keeps on trying to tell his father.
Okay, so at this time, it's closure. So we're talking about closure now.
Mm-hmm.
You're sharing this experience. It seemed to be something to stay with you. So in closing, are you saying then that it's something that affected you to this day, where you remember it, and it affected you because you could relate to something that is of value to you, is that you don't always believe that you can, when we change, it's really up to someone else.
Yes.
It's better to just leave it alone.
Yeah.
That's what that brought that memory up, that experience. So sometimes in our group discussion, what it is what someone brings up. You brought up Jorge's name, but he's not here, so we're not going to talk about Jorge.
Right.
But the fact of it is that sometimes in our discussion, in other words, this is an example that things have come up that remained on your mind and have been relational to your own life experience.
Right.
Okay, so that's valid. That's closure is meaning that we're going to bring forward some of the discussion topic or issues that related during the group. Okay, is that fine?
No problem.
Go ahead.
For me, I think the part of the discussion that I remember the most is the time where we opened the fortune cookies. To be honest, I never took fortune cookies seriously, but I was very open that day and see what happened, and what I came out with. My fortune cookies say time is money. I remember very well, and that got me thinking a lot, about my life and how I manage time, and how I want to live my life as every minute is valuable. Like I realized I had to, like Gandhi say, I had to get up every morning feeling like this may be my last day. I should have a very valuable experience today. I should learn something. Not only focus on making money, but I focus on growing and learning something and having something to treasure by the end of this day. So that I remember that session in particular because I feel like the universe speaks to me in very short phrases or words, but it creates it gives me great impact, and it gets me thinking sometimes for weeks and for months. So that particular session was very, very special for me.
That's very good. And what we've been talking about, each of the examples you both shared, and I wish there were more of those, that we talked to the people that were here in this group. And to close it sort of limits this, but I feel very much is that we left a comfort zone in our discussions. Many times we would talk very passionately about things, and sometimes we have to. I could see that each person or some people sometimes would do it, and including myself, I felt sometimes we would have to do is just sort of slow down and let some people continue with their passionate, self-expression, their voice. So, and I felt that was really a changing time for our group. I feel that a group discussion, small group, when we say grows, how does it grow? It can grow, it should be growing inward and outward. Inward in the sense of its depth and its feelings, and then outward in our expression and in our connection with each other. So I felt that happened with us together in many moments. And there were times even that we would feel that we almost didn't want to leave the group that evening. Excuse me, because I felt like sometimes, even an hour, we have an hour, 7:30 to 8:30 is really a short time. Because I've seen groups meet for as much as 2.5 hours. And even then, the time flies. They say when you're having a good time, time flies. And I don't know, I can feel that that's the case, that happened. I could feel that sometimes I didn't have to keep the group moving. You and we, the group, kept moving on its own. It had its own life. It kept moving.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah. Maybe someday. Brought here a poem, a song by Stevie Wonder. It's called "Living for the City." And I bring this forward to you and us that we might discuss some of the imagery, the symbols, the content here of this song and what's behind it from your perspective, from our perspective, each of us could share. Okay. A boy is born in Hard Time, Mississippi, surrounded by 4 walls that ain't so pretty. His parents give him love and affection to keep him strong, moving in the right direction, living just enough for the city. Yeah. His father works some days for 14 hours, and you can bet he barely makes $1. His mother goes to scrub the floor for many, and you'd best believe she hardly gets a penny. Living just enough for the city, yeah. Someone else?
His sister's black, but she's soft, pretty. Her skin is soft, short, yeah, but lower legs are
Sturdy.
To walk to school, she got to get early. Her clothes are old, but never are they dirty. Living just enough for the city.
Okay. John?
Her brother smart, he got more sense than many. His patience long, but soon he won't have any. To find a job is like haystack needle. Cause where he lives, he don't use colored people. They don't use colored people. Living just enough for the city. Living just enough for the city. Oh.
His hair is long, his feet are hard and gritty. He spends his love walking the streets of New York City. He's almost dead from breathing on air pollution. He's tried to vote, but to him, there's no solution. Living just enough for the city, yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope you hear inside my voice of sorrow, and that it motivates you to make a better tomorrow. This place is cruel. Nowhere could be much colder. If we don't change, the world will soon be over. Living just enough for the city.
Well, I'm not going to anywhere. I'm not going to Mississippi anytime soon. When was this song written? It sounds like segregation / what's it called now?
But even there he says his hair is long, his feet are hard and gritty. He spends his love walking the streets of New York City.
Oh, okay. Any city, I guess.
It's all cities.
All cities.
All cities, yes.
Any of you find that to be? I mean, I found that he was really with us. He had something to say here.
It looks like he's bound to repeat his parents' love, you know. It looks like he's looking for a better future, but it's a cycle that repeats itself.
Right, the cycle of poverty. Without lack of education, lack of skills, it's just gonna keep on going. It's gonna keep on going. I was learning that in school about how some people that are born into poverty die in poverty, and their kids, go into poverty as well. And It's just depressing. Actually, I didn't get in trouble, but there was this Ted Turner got in trouble for saying that people who have low income or people that don't have that much money shouldn't have children, or at least have one, because if they cannot feed them, clothe them, and like give them a good education, then it's just going to make them become criminals, and it's just gonna create, kids having many children. And he got in trouble for saying that. I kind of agree with him, but I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with him. But if people got offensive for saying that, you cannot tell me how many kids I could have, how many kids you can have. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying that if you can not afford to have a child, you cannot feed them, clothe them, it's just gonna be hell for them. And this is what happens, things like this. What else? Yeah.
So what did that mean to you? What did you conclude from this year? You're talking about Mr. Ted Turner.
Ted Turner, yeah, Bill Turner, I think. Ted Turner, no, Ted Turner. I'm sorry. Yeah, I really agree with him. Like me, I'm a 20-year-old. I'm going to school. And I am definitely not ready to have a child to be in this world. And I see sometimes people, like when I'm at the store, being upset because they want a juice bottle, or they want color pencils, or they want this shirt. I mean, this is what's supposed to happen when you have a kid. This is the things that you should expect. You shouldn't be upset because your kid wants school supplies, or wants new clothes for school.
What's behind being upset when we get upset? Because I saw today a woman, she was scolding a child on Kingsbridge Avenue in the Bronx in the early morning hour on the way to school, and she's lecturing her daughter and saying mad about her grades, and saying for how dumb she is, and how she should study more than she does study. And what you're saying about here is, you're talking about living in the city.
Well, that's the thing. Her daughter's not. Some just doesn't deal with. She's not intelligent. Some just the mother may not be able to be capable of helping her daughter with homework. Sitting down with her, making sure she reads. You learn to read by developing the skill. By memorizing the words, by redoing it.
Yeah.
And how is his mother calling her daughter, stupid if she's not there helping her out? I mean, most likely what I read in sociology classes is that sometimes parents have to work and let the kids, do the homework by themselves. They're not there to help them out. That's what I mean by poverty. But this when the parent cannot even help a kid with homework because they have to work, or they're too tired from work. And it's just the cycle of poverty, the cycle of just keeps on going.
Does the world change us, or do we change the world? This is what the question is raised here too. Mm-hmm. In the sense that, yes, the above seemed to be a repeating cycle, almost no light at the end of the tunnel. But yet the last the last lines are challenging. The last 5 lines are challenging.
Yeah.
Challenging from the writer, Stevie Wonder, to us.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's challenging the individual to make a difference, because he's showing that the government hasn't been able to help people. It keeps the same. Poverty keeps the same. Presidents change and politicians change, but the problems continue to be the same.
And why is that?
Because maybe Stevie Wonder got the point. Is they change starts in the individual. If the individual is willing and able to make the change, the whole society by extension will see the difference.
I mean, so you can be poor, and as long as you've got love, you can start. You've got to start. But if you are poor and don't have love, then you're in the minus.
Yeah.
And we go back to the point you made about having, if you don't have the means, don't have many children. Right? But in my country, in my culture, that we have this saying: when children are born, they come with a bread under their arm, right? So it encourages people to have many children. Even though you're so poor, have many children, somehow you will survive. But that is quite two-sided, you know.
Right.
Not so easy to do. Because I know families that have only one child, but they're still miserable. You know, they're not happy, and the child get a good education, but he doesn't want to do anything.
Right. I don't believe.
And I know families, very large family, many children, and they somehow help each other, and they become something
Right.
in society.
The world is not black and white. I mean, with the right, ingredients, you can have a poor family, they have many children and be happy. But like Reverend Galvan said, you need love. Without it, I mean, it's just gonna be miserable.
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he says in the opening line. And I think, I mean, I agree with that. That's a value I feel is very important, and that is love, in all homes, in all families, rich and poor. But here we are talking about this song, "Living for the City," which opens with love.
Sometimes this is not to do with family, but with love songs, that all you need is love when to be in a relationship, which I completely disagree with, because you have love, you love one another, but when the bills come, when you have to pay rent, when you have to pay the phone, where's the love gonna be there? You're gonna be arguing with one another, You don't work enough, you don't work, or something like that. It just creates problems when there's not enough income. So there needs to be a balance for me, I think. Balance that love and enough wealth for it to function properly.
But supposing you have taken what you're saying as true, then then you're going back to what you said about not having children.
Right.
Okay, because you don't have the means. But isn't it possible, as John was saying, isn't it possible that if you have a number of children, and suppose those children were also eager and loving, supportive of the family, if it was a question of food or no food, or work or no work, it might be on the self-initiative, the child would look and say, I can do something. I know this, and I know that. I know how to make some money. I'm going to go out and do it. Story rags to riches, and just really chip in and help the family without being told by the parents. And then before you know it, I mean, we've got stories in America where there are families who just rose, and as a family, they started the business, and they became quite successful. But had they not had this family identity, cohesiveness, it wouldn't have happened. And so I'm just going back to that. I'm not insisting. I'm feeling something here about the meaning of having love on your plate and not just food. And if love is there, then it's a factor that you say it's not just enough to have love. I agree with you, but it's better with love as a putting grease on the wheel, motivating the person next to you, brother or sister or sibling, to pitch in and help out. It might be delivering newspapers. It might be selling magazines. It might be selling Kool-Aid out with it on a table in front of the house. passers-by, quarter after quarter, mounting up and adding to being dollar after dollar, and then becomes a new house, or it might become a family car or something like that. You follow?
Yeah.
But if we go back and say if the family though is totally dependent on the parents or totally anonymous in their emotions with each other, and they don't have that kind of feeling of filial piety or anything like that, any kind of, then we're in trouble.
Right.
Then that block is like a cemetery. That neighborhood is like a cemetery. It's a graveyard because there's no feelings.
Right. I completely agree.
Which then in your case, what you're saying, but I feel to me, I just sort of feel, going back to what you're saying, I think this kind of a song is meant to be thought out because it draws us inward as well as outward, as our group has been doing this whole 10 weeks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
For me, it was a touching. This is the Human Touch by Bruce Springsteen, or something that you hear. Stevie Wonder's expressed so much feeling for the community, the neighborhood, the people. Right? It doesn't have to be black. It could be a migrant worker from the Caribbean.
Yeah, everybody can relate to this.
Could be, a story that tells about people of every background, every color, every economic plight.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It says his sister's black, but she is so enough pretty. She is so enough pretty. Her skirt is short, but Lord, her legs are sturdy. To walk to school, she's got to get up early. Her clothes are old, but never are they dirty. It's like poor people, even if they're poor, they have pride about being who they're of their self. You can't, even her legs are sturdy from either working or from walking. And she's also, her dress would never, are they the dirty? Yeah, I remember that, growing up from a working family, that we may not have had so many change of clothes, but what clothes we had, we did keep them clean. There's something there about being proud, even in your misery. And that there's some glue there that I want to pull out of this song here. I felt that might be, worthy to look at.
Right.
You're a writer and a poet. And as we were reading this, I was thinking, your wheels must have been turning when we were reading this.
It's very sad for me to think about these things, because especially living in America, I see that the family unit is very strong. So I come from Latin American countries, and I see in poverty much higher degree than in the United States. But somehow people there are happier. Somehow the family unit there is more compact. You see more couples living together until the end of their lives. You see children taking care of their parents, even when they become too old to take care of themselves. Sometimes I don't see that in America so much. I went to Florida. I see so many people living in nursery homes, older people, and I see so much problems with couples of divorce and people not being happy with their relationships, jumping from one place to the other. I think that this is also a call for that, to try to find a way to bring the family unit together. And if that happens, even if the family is poor, I think there's some degree of happiness that can be felt. And the need also, they can also enjoy their life.
It's amazing how, and children have a way of bringing out the best and the worst of a family. They can, whereas there's almost no solution, feeling there's no hope. Even one of the children can bring hope, right? One of the children can bring hope to that family, to those parents. Because of some skill, some talent, some insight, some venture, something like that they bring. And whereas the parents might feel they're just not getting anywhere, same thing over and over again. But children, as we see, are different.
Just the personality. If you have several children, they're all different. And they will bring joy to you in a different way.
That's right.
That each one is special. Each one is unique.
That's right.
And that applies. If you have a big family, I think you will be happier than just having one child. That one child can give you great happiness, but if you have many, I think they're also being happy. For you to be happy would be greater. Also, I think
this thing you're just saying right now about happiness, how does happiness come about? There's something about in a family. Let's say a family of a family. Yeah, what is a family? What is a family? Is it?
It's a man and woman who join in matrimony, I guess, or some kind of ceremony, and have children with one another.
Okay, so there's okay, so there are parents and children. So we're talking about then a generation which builds happiness. So, and is a family a place where you can be happy? Because some people say actually is that the family breakdown and the family is falling apart and there is no family. But when we say that, what is our standard about family? I mean, what are we judging from?
I guess from their own family. People usually judge from their own experience.
Okay, so what is your judgment standard of family?
Well, my family is.
And do you feel? Could you honestly say here today that a family is a place for happiness, or is it just misery?
I guess it has these days.
Let's be honest. Come on, this is.
No problem. I have no problem being honest. But the thing is, for me, it's not always black and white. It's always like this and this, that. For me, yes, I guess it's for my personal or for what I see in family does bring people happiness. My little sister always making us laugh. She's very inappropriate. She says very rude things. It makes us, laugh, and we're telling her to don't say those things, but then we're laughing and we just encourage her to keep going, to be the way she is. And my mother's always saying that she's so happy that she has my two sisters, my 11-year-old sister Kimberly and my 7-year-old sister Adriana, because with them she feels she has a purpose, like take them out to school or take them out shopping or just talking to them. So it brings great joy for my family.
Okay, so you're are we saying that energy of give and take and emotional sharing, coming and going like that? What that makes happiness. So happiness is what?
For me, I'm like not sure. I guess my little sister brings me happiness because I raised her like the 4-year-old. I mean the 7-year-old. I make sure that when she was little, I didn't want any kind of bad influence on her. So I make sure to always be with her, show her TV shows, educate her, ask her questions about manners and how to behave. So I'm very proud of the way she developed. And I was reading books about how she needs to develop social skills. So once she started kindergarten, I let her go, just be her own, discover herself. And it makes me happy when I talk to her and she just says the most creative or interesting things. That makes me happy. But
so you talk. Am I correct? Do I hear you right? And John, you jump in here. So happiness is what helping towards someone's growth, character, and also in their external peace or achievement.
Yes, yeah. That's why people become teachers. I mean, isn't it? Why some people become doctors, or like me, I want to become a firefighter. Because they want to help others, and it brings some kind of joy. Sometimes you don't even understand why you feel happy for it. It's just a chemical in your brain that's being released. It just happens.
Okay, so So, John, what do you think?
I think it's true, and you learn that in the family first. You learn how to live for others and feel the satisfaction of doing something for other people in the family first.
First, I have a student today. She comes and sees me at the college, and at Bolívar College, and what she does is she says, I'm sorry I'm late, but they had to put my child into an insane asylum.
What?
An insane asylum, and because I said, she's 12 years old. It's good for her because she's too active. So that makes me wonder that sometimes in our country, that here in this country is we're living here in New York, city life, is people's experience with family all that good? Happy?
I don't know. That's the thing. For me, that's what I don't not feel controversial in this. I know my family. I don't know how those people interact with their own family members.
So it's important that we have to have a definition of happiness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to go all over the place.
Inside, we all know that we can find happiness in our own families. But the reality may be that you just find misery in your family. But it doesn't mean that if you can be able to create a good family, you can be happy. But the problem is there's no ideal families out there to us. All sorts of problems.
Yeah. This is an issue, John. You hit it. If with all these problems, if we keep building up these problems, what's saying that in the next 20, 40, in the next, millennium, can we say we're going to be seeing happy families, or are we going to reproduce what is going on now? That's important. It's like good multiplies, and as well bad multiplies itself too. So, I mean, if we don't know this, even if you're single, you got to know this, because if you're going to go out, whatever we're going to do to make the world a better place, we can't run away from the family and the conditioned family. Period.
I feel like a family cannot be duplicated. Like it cannot be exactly the same as the next one. I really like my family, and we're like an unusual family.
What do you like about your family?
Like that's what I'm gonna get at. We're an unusual family because my mother, me, and my sister, my younger sister, the 7-year-old, we're not very affectionate. Like like my little sister hates being hugged too much. Like she gets hugged, like okay, that's enough, let go of me. Like, and we're like that. We're very distant. And the 11-year-old one, she always wants to be hugged, wants to like talk her feelings. And for the 7-year-old and my mother and myself, we're not very good at that. We always joke around about how I think we got the wrong child from the hospital, because see, exactly, we say things like that, and it's normal for us to say it. Other people react wrong, but wait,
for us
it's normal.
I mean, are you saying that's normal?
It is normal. See, exactly. That's normalcy for us. Or
So
or,
you're saying you like that?
yes.
Okay, so
exactly.
if I look at you and I say, boy, you look ugly today, that makes you feel good.
It makes me laugh. Yes. See, that's what I mean. Like every
If
family
I said
is
to you,
different.
if I said to you, oh, hi, Michael, you look happy today, you say, oh, God.
No, nothing
What a
like that.
bad thing to say. If I look up to you and I say, well, you really look really ugly. You look like miserable.
The thing is
You know.
that our interpretation of beauty is very different from each one eyes. That's the thing. Like, I'm not.
I mean, because if I were to say
There we go.
to my child, if I were to
That's the
say to
word.
myself, is that it's like, you know, it's better that you weren't born. I mean, look, even in the Bible, it says in Genesis 6:6, where God grieved that He had made man. That I think about that. Is He joking?
No, actually, my mother has said that to my 7-year-old. My 7-year-old, she told my sister like,
What-
oh,
what-
sometimes I wish I didn't have you. She's like, okay, so how will you take me to the hospital? Take me to the doctor and leave me there. See, we just joke around like that. And my mother said, maybe I will. And it's just funny, and then we laugh about it. I mean, it's like dark humor, I guess.
Did you? It's dark humor.
Yeah, I guess.
I wonder.
It's cynical. Like,
And you like that?
we all like that. My sister said, like, 11-year-old doesn't.
I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. Every family is different. Like, even my older sister, who's not here, she thinks she has in her imagination that we hug each other, laugh and go to picnics. And like I told my mother that, and she just started laughing. Like, when was the last time we were ever to a picnic? So it's very like tough, but it's good tough. I don't know. Like, that's what I feel discomfortable, because what you feel like is happy, we might not think is happy. You know, might not think enjoyable. Like, I'm not sure like how to say it.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? This discussion makes me happy.
Why does this discussion make you happy?
See, because you all have different points of view. Like, your reaction is like really, like, sometimes I tell like something that happened. Yet
I want to be known that people can also appreciate and be happy that I was born. But if you tell me we're taking you back to the hospital because it's better that you were born, I'm gonna bury my head in the sand.
we're not very sensitive. Like like we were laughing Wednesday about my mother always telling my sister, the 7-year-old and my mother always fighting because they're very like strong, and she's telling her, my mother has always been telling her for I don't know how long, I'm gonna leave you at school. You know, I can leave you at school and they cannot do anything to me, because if I beat you, they can take me to jail. But if I leave you to school because I don't want you anymore, that's fine. That they cannot do anything to me. And if you misbehave, I'm gonna do that one day.
Would you like to respond to this, John?
It's not.
Are we talking? Is your last name Simpson? This is it cannot be one where, you know, if I really feel like, you know, you really should be putting our soup we're going to have for lunch. I mean, that might have made me happy, but it doesn't make you happy. And happiness means that I am going to be happy, not at someone else's expense. I mean, that's what you call my own pleasure that I get out of saying some kind of diabolic joke. I'm not picking you up today with the face that you've got. Forget it.
Nothing like that.
I don't want to be seen with you. Are you serious? Just come on. It's just, you know, I already feel that way. You already feel that way. What I'm doing is making you feel worse. And actually, that's not happiness. I mean, I think we're going to have to do is turn upside down whatever's going on, the status quo right now in society, and change things so that there can be a higher standard of happiness.
Right.
I don't buy it, because even your little sister, she didn't buy it either, and you say it yourself. So what are we going to do? Yes, we do have to change. We have to change, or if not, then we're all going to have a lot of asylums. It's going to be.
No, she's a very happy girl. She has very high self-esteem. She's very, she's always, my cousins, like this, here we go about family. My other two cousins are very like, yes sir, yes ma'am, but they have no personality. They just sit there and just wait for her family to pick them up. They have no, like my sister's running around being happy, joyful, and the 11-year-old, she's reading her books, you know, studying. I mean, my mother let us develop the way we want to, whatever we're interested in. The 11-year-old and the 7-year-old hates school. She doesn't want to learn. My mother says, like, eventually she's gonna want to learn, either because they're making fun of her, because she doesn't know how to read, or because she just wants to on her own. And the 7-year-old just enjoys reading, and you know, and we get her books. Adriana, I am worried about her not knowing how to read, so I get her the books that you get a pen and touch it and read with you. But I prefer us than this about that my cousins just sitting there and waiting for her mother to come pick them up. No personality, no real, you know, not being so careful what to say, not to offend anyone. My 7-year-old tells my mother whatever she feels like, whatever she wants, and she's free. We all are. We all very outspoken. Like right now I'm being with you guys because of the way we were raised. Say how you feel, and you know, be who you are. Be proud of who you are.
And would we, there's such thing as description and prescription. Are you going to describe to me what you've got in your experience, and would you prescribe that for the whole?
No,
the
no.
greater?
I don't think everybody can handle what we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the cutting line.
Yeah.
The cutting edge is whatever my experience might give me, and you've survived. Right? But the point is most society cannot live this way.
Yeah, the 11-year-old.
And then also it would not survive. And there have been more casualties than survivors. So we have to find out what model is there, you know, what for both happiness and for family. Okay?
The root for our situation is our grandfather. Well, I was raised with my grandfather, and he's always been like that, so it kind of grew up like that. So we all gonna change differently, you know. We all gonna take what we like and not like, and it's gonna, you know, grow.
I hope that we can carry this conversation on more in the future about the family and the definition or description and prescription about happiness in the family. I want to mention here, I brought forward tonight also a reading from Mahatma Gandhi about truth. And Eric Erickson did a psychological, psychoanalytical study of Mahatma Gandhi, and also knowing him personally, meeting with him. And some of these quotes here are quite awesome, powerful. I want to just quickly go over page 2 of 8 from the book called Gandhi's Truth. And Gandhi says here, he says, "An eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind."
Oh, that was Gandhi?
Yes. So happiness is what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And he says, first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. He says, when I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible, but in the end they will always fall. Think of it always. Pleasure without conscience, science without humanity, knowledge without character, politics without principle, commerce without morality, and finally, 7, worship without sacrifice. Mahatma Gandhi. I wanted to share that with you. And just by way, he says, I like your Christ, I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ. That's Mahatma Gandhi.
Nice.
Okay. So what do you, any closing comment? As we finished our last session, we have 1 minute. Can you each take then, we'll share it, 30 seconds, each one of us, 33 seconds.
Yes.
I think going back to what we discussed in the beginning is the family. I think this is crucial for America right now. If we don't take the family seriously, I don't think we will be able to solve problems in the future. And that's one thing I think the next president of the United States has to deal with, is how we can solve the problems of family breakdown and all the problems within the family.
Thank you. I felt today, Michael, you were really hit a good point when you challenged saying it's not enough to have love. It's not in a family. And we talked this issue, and I think we need to continue with this topics and challenging and just really go deep. And then, like Mahatma Gandhi was sharing here about the 7 sins of having, you know, that where there is pleasure, and how can you say there's pleasure without, you know, conscience? And he's saying there is worship, but how can you have worship where there is no sacrifice? These kind of things.
Right. I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I personally love
Maybe 20 seconds.
I love the one that he talks about unlike your Christ, but unlike your Christians. I couldn't agree more with that quote. I mean, that's the quote that I've been living for since I was 16. So like met this church. I was very against religion, but now like my eyes are open. Yeah, life ministry is very positive. Exactly.
Thank you. And I think next time in our small group we'll discuss more about spirituality, faith, connection, and also about transformation and also empowerment. But I want to thank each and every one of you, because it's not one of any particular. We're not enforcing one particular any religion, but instead a faithful discussion. And the surrounding next time, when I introduced Mahatma Gandhi and the great man, he moved Martin Luther King and others in his life, and godly man, and we'll be today. We'll discuss that more next time. I want to thank John, Michael, and all the listeners that we can come together. Few of us tonight, but out of few we can bring out many feelings, many ideas. Thank each and every one of you here at 4 West 43rd Street. Here we are, small group, Leadership Unplugged, and we're going to keep on going. We're going to take a break for about a couple of weeks, and we're going to continue again. A new cycle with a lot of new drive. Yeah. Each of you can say goodbye. Let's say goodbye to everyone. Good night.
Goodbye.
And remember, it only takes a spark to get a fire going. Thank you very much.